Hi everyone, in this video today we'll be kickstarting a new series on Excel and we'll talk about a lot of functions, how to navigate them in Excel, how to understand them in Excel and how to use them in your particular exercises or projects or wherever you find Excel to be quite useful, right? So in this video we'll focus on two functions, one is count and one is count A. Now if I quickly show you the answer of this dataset that I have on the screen, you'll see that count and counted don't really give the same answers if applied on the same column. And we'll discuss why is it so and how can we understand what these functions represent and use them at appropriate places, right? So if I go to the exercise and I see, okay, I need to count the number of role IDs in this column. Right now the data set is of 20 students, but it can be for 20,000 or 19,000 with some blanks in between. You just need to know how many are there, right? So let's apply the count function first. Let's count this full range. Okay, we get 20 people. Let's apply count A and we get 20 people. So it's working the same for these 20 people, right? We don't have any blanks, both are working the same. But let's apply it on all the columns on the right hand side and you'll see there's a difference. Before I apply to all the columns, I'll just explain the dataset a bit more. The dataset is the role ID of the student, the stream they are in their class 11th or 12th, and the marks they scored. So some people had PCM, physics, chemistry, maths plus biology, some had plus computer, some had plus engineering, drawing. So there are some blanks because those students never really appeared for those exams as they were not part of the stream. So here I expect the count functions to be a bit different. Let's apply both the formulas to the entire columns and special paste. Okay, now we see that there's a discrepancy here and there's a discrepancy here, right? Now, why is this happening? So if you see the pattern, wherever there are full columns, no blanks, nothing whatsoever, count and count A behave the same, right? But whenever there are some blanks, count A gives me all the values which are not blank and count gives me the numerical values, right? So whenever you want to know in a column how many numerical values are present, by numerical I mean a number, how many numerical or a number value is present, use the function count. If you want to check how many non-blank values are present, use count A, right? So if you see, count A for all the columns is the same because my data set is not blank. So if you want to also check that if there are any blank values in the data set, you can use count A, because if count A in any of these columns would have been, let's say, less than 20, let's say here if I make this a blank, you see the count A become 19, right? So this tells me that there's a blank somewhere in the column. So to summarize, you can use count to check the numerical values in a column. You can choose count A to check the number of non-blank cells in a column, or you can also use count A to check, okay, is there a blank cell in a column? And this will help you a lot in your initial step process of data exploration. And this is why these two functions come very handy when you're checking the counts of columns, rows, and even in fact, in some of the tables where you analyze moving ahead. One extra thing where I used count and count A is after I calculated the sum of marks of all the students of all the subjects, right? I calculate their percentage score. I mean, if they are giving 4 exams, 400, is the highest marks that they can score, then how many percentage of points they gathered. So if you see, I divided the total marks K5, I divided the total marks with 100 into count of E5 to J5. Now count function gives me count of numerical numbers. So I said, okay, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 numerical numbers here. So count function should give me an answer of 4. And when I multiply it by 100, it becomes 400. So if I select this count function, press F9, you see that, okay, this is returning me 4. Right? And that's why I can make this dynamic as well. If I add marks for engineering drawing as 80, you see this percentage update as well. I don't need to go there and change divide by 500. Or if I add biology as 100, I don't need to go and update it as 600. It's all dynamic. So this is how you can use count and counter functions to make your denominators or the numerators dynamic as well. That's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching it. Cheers.